the next screen whenever you're ready.
Yep, there we go.
All right. Wow, I think we got it this time, Randy.
I hope so.
Good job on your end. They were throwing you the curveballs. All right, I'm ready to switch to go live. Yay! All right, I have the power. I don't need you to do it. I am capable and competent within my own being. Welcome everybody to
Hola.
Addition Through Distraction, your twice a week vodcast, where we work on craft things related to the nerd universe, and we talk about stuff along the way. I'm over here doing the crafting, and Randy's over at Mission Control, and he is he does a great job of keeping me occupied and on course while we take this 2-hour ride of adventure and mirth and merriment and all that. Randy, did I miss anything on describing the vodcast?
Did you get merriment?
Yeah, I did. Yep, thank you. Yep, no, I did.
You got the mirth.
And I got the mirth.
Okay.
Yeah. So hijinks and hilarity.
Yep,
There's probably a fair amount of tomfoolery that might be involved. So shenanigans. I know that you are always looking to throw in a little malarkey along the way.
Love a little malarkey.
Yeah. So hey, buckle up, Buttercup. You're in for a ride. All righty. If this sounds like something that might be in your alley, and it could be your front alley, it doesn't have to be back alley.
Whichever you prefer.
Whichever. Hey, liquor in the front and poker in the rear. No, sorry. That was, a liquor store, Randy. We're talking about commercial zoning.
That's what I assumed you were talking about.
But yeah, if this sort of thing hasn't scared you away, please like, share, and subscribe. Like is clicking the thumbs up button. Right? The sharing is the part where you tell your mother, you tell your brother, you even tell your secret lovers. And we pluralize that because, you could have more than one.
Because you're a bunch of whores. But we don't judge.
Because we're assuming that you probably have more than one, And it's not about you. It's about the human condition. And then the subscribing is where you hit the subscribe button. And when you do that, Randy, it gives them access to the bell icon. And they click that, and somebody must have just clicked it because it rings directly here in Studio Johnny Q. And also, we say that every time that bell rings, a nerd is
an angel gets it. Oh no,
a nerd is let out of a locker, and so that's there's no greater work than doing that.
Yep.
And Randy says it helps prevent a nerd getting a swirly.
Yeah,
and we're allowed to say those things because we are nerds. All right, Randy, they hate us because they taint us.
He says it so many times.
All right.
I gotta watch that again.
Yes. All right. So now we're starting with a giggle fit here right at the beginning. I think that bodes well for us, my friend. Randy, how are you? It is great to see you. Thank you for being here.
I am well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I had a nice sub ride down here to the studio.
Oh, little ride on the little submarine.
Yeah. Yep, and I am got a little time to clean up in here, so I'm feeling good about our show today, and am chomping at the bit
down here in the beautiful briny,
and raring to go. Yeah. The other thing, Randy, I did want to mention before we get started is we have all kinds of links now down in the doublage, or what we affectionately refer to as the cubelage. That I think the one probably at the top is our Patreon account, which we just added. So please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have some interesting tier levels where you can actually get miniatures. So check that out. We also have links to our recommended gear. We're an Amazon affiliate, so we can potentially get commissions on purchases that you make through there. So please check out the recommended gear. And also all the social media outlets. You can check us out, and we have all the pertinent info down there for those. And also a link to the Quasi Shop. It's our shop. So I think that takes care of all the business. And Randy, I think that you wanted to tell people that how they should act on Twitter.
I don't remember what I said.
You said something.
I was like, oh no.
Tell everybody to twiddle us on the Twitter. Something like that.
Something like that.
It was really good.
Don't forget to twiddle my Twitter.
Yeah.
Don't forget to twiddle my Twitter.
If you would twiddle, that we would really greatly appreciate that. So I think that takes care of all of that. malarkey, as if you were promised earlier, the aforementioned malarkey. Little business and malarkey, Randy. Could you do me a favor,
Yay,
good sir,
malarkey.
and take a look at the agenda on today's show notes?
Sure.
All right,
Maybe.
here.
Possibly.
Let's see here. Looking at our ceiling.
Perchance to dream. Let's see.
And let's see. We actually
Did you want to mention Patreon again?
yeah. So I did
This
want to
episode?
mention with the Patreon, we got a new Patreon subscriber,
Nice.
and you know him.
Do I?
It is our good friend Ducey.
Aw.
So Ducey,
Yay, dude.
Ducey joined, and he became a Lando level. You know why? Because he is as smooth as a cape wearing space hustler sipping on a Colt 45. That's what Lando level people are. Hold on, and I cannot. There we go.
I miss Tusi. It's been a hot minute.
And you know what's funny, Randy?
Actually, I have his Christmas present to give him still.
Oh, well, you could leave it here, Randy. You know why?
How is he coming on?
He's coming over on Sunday,
Ah.
and we're trying to set up a once a month get together with him coming over here to do some sort of guest cast.
Nice.
So, yes, funny that you mentioned that. It was a perfect segue. So yeah, I haven't gotten to see him as much as I would like, and he's going to be making a trip down here. I'm going to see if we can try to do a semi-regular thing. So we
Sweet.
look forward to that. So yeah, that was the Patreon. So yeah, please look to support us. It is super important to support artists, because art enriches all of our lives every single day, and it's easy to take it for granted. And so it's important to keep those people going that are keeping you going. That's kind of the way I look at it, Randy. I was just showing here, Randy, this was the thing that we were working on last one. And you can remember that our original one was the bouillon cube that I had done. And so we have at least a lot of translucency on this one. So, and now that we've done this, you may remember we used acrylic floor polish on it. And with along with some inks, I think we used some of these Vallejo inks. Now that we've done that, it sort of acts like a primer, and so it'll take more ink a lot easier, so we can start to get creative with it. But anyways, I'm going to put that away for now. Randy, what was next after our Patreon? Oh, one thing I did want to mention, Randy, which is probably the thing right after the Patreon, is it the edited video?
It's not highlighted.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't gotten to that point if it is.
The edited video, I'll talk about it anyway. Screw the agenda. Super duper happy this edited video of the Rollboxes is complete and was posted today.
Nice.
But it actually posted yesterday, and people on Patreon got a sneak peek at it. So that's one of the perks that you get for being a Patreon follower, if you are a Fando level or higher. Blando levels don't get that kind of special access, Randy, because it's bland. Blandos. Yeah. Blando's just somebody that says, hey, I want to throw a buck because, I don't need anything extra. I just want to throw a buck. And
it just sounded a little like a little to me like you said Lando, so I wanted to clarify.
Blando. No, Landos, they get access to the archived podcast. This very podcast. These don't stay up forever. These are like, Randy, this is like, it's like Sleeping Beauty, right? They don't let that shit stay out there forever. Disney puts that in a vault, son. And you know why? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And so we do that to make our stank a little sweeter smelling, I guess. I don't know.
Oh.
And yes, those things get archived. So right now, everything that's in the vault was from last year. We'll probably archive them on a monthly basis. We're still working out the deets on that. So our 2 Lando level patrons have access to the archives, which is nice. And actually, that's a lie. They don't have access to the archives, Randy, because I haven't quite figured that piece out yet. I want to be. I realize I said that, and I don't want to be a liar. I want to be a truth teller.
He tried so hard.
A truth sayer, soothsayer. But yeah. Well, you know what, Randy? There's a book that says that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And so that may have been a moment such as that. All right. So yeah, the video though of the Rollbox, we got that posted, and I'm super excited because that was 4 hours of 40 hours of raw footage that I had. 40 hours.
That's crazy.
And it's like, oh yeah, let's make a 10-minute video out of 40 hours. And I was a little daunted by it, I'll be honest. But the first thing that we did was we took it and we sped it up, I think 10,000%. And so that gave us a 40-minute video. And then we whittled from there.
That's crazy.
But I'm really happy with the outcome. So
see, this is why I never get around to, like, I'll take thousands of pictures on a vacation or something.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
never get around to actually going through them and choosing good ones. And
I took 7 because I really only want 1.
Yeah.
But you don't ever get to see the one that you wanted because you took 7 and it's buried amongst thousands. That's the issue that I have. Oh, Randy, I did want to show you this little funny thing when I was cleaning up.
What else have you got here?
All right, can you see this?
Yeah, I can't tell what it is, but I can see it.
This was, let me see here.
Looks like some sort of jumper or something.
Yeah, these are just like tie, like it was some sort of tie for some packaging, and it had a metal on both sides. And so I was working on making those sunglasses for the for the danger zone.
Gotcha.
And somebody had talked about zip ties and some things, and so I was, I was trying that. It was a prototype. It's like, I think I may have to hold on to it. I think that might not get thrown away right away. All right. And Randy, also we have a shell here from our dragon egg. So that's something that we can be working on craft-wise. It probably will be the first thing we work on today. So I'll work on grabbing that. Yeah, with the Rollbox video. So we had all that footage, but after all was said and done, I was really pleased with it. So please check it out if you haven't already. Randy, could you do me a favor? I think I have a link to it in the show notes, and maybe you copy and paste that into the chat. All right. So
here.
If I do this, why didn't you do it? If I give you more. Well, I'm trying to figure that shit out.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, so it's really good when you're having the stream and nobody's talking, huh? I'm sorry about that, Randy. I got wrapped up thinking about the M50. I know it's hard for you to imagine that. It costs me a lot.
Why would you spend time thinking about it? It's not like it ever has any issues.
Well,
M50 is perfect. I will not hear a word against it.
You're right.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
You're right. Okay, so then fine. I'll switch to it, Randy, and I will show people. So these are these dragon eggs that we're working on. Don't they look just like dragon eggs? I'm sure that when I say dragon egg, this is the first thing that came to your mind, right?
That is exactly what I think.
You look in the Oxford English.
It's not actually.
And this is what they have the picture of.
That's not true.
No. But anyways, so I'm gonna pull these out.
All right, there you go.
All right, so I think that's all that I want to say about for the Rollbox for right now. Maybe on Thursday, Randy, we'll look to see how we can add it to the stream and maybe go through it and discuss it a little bit, or at least some highlights or something. So, what do we have next on the agenda, my friend? So we had glued these on, Randy, and these are pieces of XPS foam that we had cut. And I think on the last stream, I had glued these pieces on and pinned them. And since then, I glued the other sides down and pinned those. And I think we have to figure out how we're going to get these to bend, whether we're going to use the heat gun on them or not. Man, if I do that, I should probably leave them pinned in, shouldn't I? No.
So next is you have a Kickstarter
oh, yeah.
placeholder?
Yep. So Kickstarter can be stuff that we can talk about. I wasn't sure if we had gotten through everything. You were looking a little bit at the monolith thing.
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't revisit that?
No, I didn't revisit.
Yeah.
That, so I don't know exactly what
That's
was going
fine.
on there, but yeah, it looked bizarre. Whatever. I think it was that one that they were saying. It got so much in the first like day or two that they said it's a failure and shut it down. And like,
well, the thing was, it was 400% funded, and they shut it down for lack of participation.
huh?
And it's bringing a conversation that I think has been there, but maybe making it a little bit more visible. And it's about this. I mentioned that when we talked about last week, that these Kickstarters, you would think that if it's 100% funded, that means that it's funded. But that doesn't mean what it is. Because people, they need this momentum of it funded on the first day.
I saw some complaints about JC's on.
Hey, JC, how you doing, brother?
What's up, buddy? I saw some complaints about like the process and how it handles certain things, and I didn't know what they were, because I have never done any of that.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
mentioning. So
yeah, and maybe I should
about.
take a step back, and for people who don't even know what the Kickstarter is. So Kickstarter is a way that, say that I had a project that I wanted to fund. You see it like people used to do it with like computer games, right? So there's some people that you had to go to a company and say, hey, I want to make this game, and they give you money, and then you can go make the game. Well, you go crowdsource fund it instead using something like Kickstarter, and you say, hey, if you guys help us get money for this, we'll give you some perks along the way. And it's one of the really ones I love is the Reaper one, because you get a ton of miniatures at a really good deal. But there's lots of Kickstarters like that, and especially with miniatures, like the more money that they raise, the more miniatures that they'll include, or upgrades to the game. So what happens is that the product that people really want to make and have prepared for, they have designed, right? They've designed all this stuff, and 100% funding only gets you a little bit of it, and 1,000% funding gives you crazy amount of stuff. And so how does something have 400% funding a couple days in, and there's not enough participation, and they cancel? And so it's just kind of revealing some of the psychology of it, and people are saying, just to some fair degree, it's like, well, this is what you need. You need to have these things to have the momentum to be able to do what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. You need to market it this way. And it's a fair argument, but anyway. So yeah, I think that probably concludes our Kickstarter portion. Since we have JC on, I did want to mention something, Randy. I'm watching a little bit more of The Witcher, and I am starting to enjoy it. There is a complaint that I have about it, and it's relevant, I think, to you. I don't like the Bard character. I hate him.
He's annoying. Well, I think he's supposed to be.
Okay.
He's supposed to be annoying.
Have you watched? How much have you watched?
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you like his character? Because my money is that you liked him.
The what?
The Bard character.
You think I like the Bard?
Yeah. I mean, you've seen the whole thing. I don't know his arc. I don't know his story arc, but I'm like in the 3rd episode. And it was funny because it's like,
just got an introduction. Like, for instance, like you weren't full on with the first episode. You're just getting an introduction to the Bard. I think
it doesn't help probably that one of the first words out of his mouth is abortion. He says it, abortion, and it was just like, oof, man, that puts you off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, it is spoofy. He's meant to kind of be a oddball.
Yeah.
Not especially likable.
Oh, is he? Okay.
I believe.
Okay, maybe that's what I guess what they're going for there. Okay.
I thought that you don't do that and have it not be on purpose.
That's true. Yeah. Actually, after I said that, it was like,
that was blatantly.
Yeah, they're coming. They're trying to make you not like him. That's true. That is very true, Randy. Thank you for bringing that into perspective.
Enhance. JC said he loves the Bard. He's fun. Oh, Caleb Newell?
Who to what? Is that the guy's name?
Yeah. Caleb Newell says he's fun.
He's fun. Well, hopefully I'll find him.
Hello, Caleb.
Him more as we go on.
Yep.
Because Yeah, like I said, I mean, the first thing is like, I'm Barshan. I think that was the end of his first sentence, and it was just like, oof, man, who are you? And I'm like, man. But it is funny that he has this. What is it? The Holy Grail, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when he's got the bard that's Brave Sir Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always singing the tales, and it does have that kind of feel to it, so that's fun. I like how different it makes me look at Henry Cavill. I really am enjoying him.
Yeah,
in this,
I think he does a really good job.
And I am enjoying him, and I think that they've nailed the look, and it's
and he sounds just like him, I think. But
well, that's not hard to do, Randy.
No.
Apparently, it's harder than you think, son.
That's right. No.
Thanks for that. Thanks for my comeuppance, Randy. So I have watched a little bit more of that, and looking forward to continuing it. We just started the I think the last season that's been available of Sherlock, the British Sherlock, Randy.
What about it? Sorry.
The fourth season is the most current season available, right? Can you verify that?
They say that they're not going to do any more?
No, I didn't mean it's the final. It's just the most currently available one. I think it's the last one that's currently available. I don't think that they've said that they're not officially doing any more. Maybe I'm wrong, and I just don't want to accept that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they said that's it.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Stream Crusher.
I think they were fairly adamant about
what's
that.
What's something that you really like? Because I want to tell you some horrible
I
thing
like
about
Sherlock
it.
Holmes.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, we got these dragon eggs here, Randy, and I'm not 100%. I'm having a moment of indecision on this. Let me think. And while I'm thinking, I'll reset the M50. But yeah, we just started on that, and I've watched this season, but Carrie hasn't, so it is it's been good. That's just a show I just think I'm just going to be continuing to watch and rewatch my entire life. I enjoy it that much.
Yeah, it's really good.
How many times do you think you've watched the series, Randy?
I don't know. I whenever a new one came out, I always rewatched.
Right. Yeah, I did the same thing. Start over.
Preceding ones.
Yeah.
But I've also seen them outside of that as well.
Let's see if I got a spoon.
I think I've only seen the last series twice.
Okay, so yeah, this will be my second time to have watched season 4.
Okay.
I really like season 3. The end of it is the one where they do it as if it was old timey.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There are 4 series available on Netflix for Sherlock.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But you know which episode I'm talking about, Randy? The one where it's like you think about Sherlock. What is, I don't know if that's Victorian era or what.
Was that the beginning of 4?
I have no idea what eras are. But 1800, right? Isn't it Sherlock?
JC said he doesn't like the wedding episode of Sherlock.
That's my favorite episode.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
They're all interesting.
I really like that episode. Why? Why so?
What don't you like about it, JC?
One of the things that Carrie particularly loves about that one is he has that little kid that's in the episode, and he tells him he'll show him grisly photos if he helps him. I've got a beheaded nun in this for you if you help me. Come on, what can't you like about that? And he's like the little kid, I think, when he meets him, and he's like the ring bearer, and he's like, he says, "So do you have photos of dead people?" "Yeah." "Can I see them?" "Okay." It's like, what a horrible thing.
JC said that episode was too corny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it.
I thought you liked corn.
Wow, that's awful personal, Randy. Did you say corn?
Yes.
Okay. Corn with a C, or corn with a K and a backwards R. That's a band, Randy.
Both? Yeah, I know.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Who?
I like that you like.
As in Children from the?
Children of the. Well, I think they actually had an album called Children of the Corn. All right. I think Randy. I'm gonna use the heat gun over here. So I think before you can just turn me down a little bit, maybe, right? If I do that. It didn't.
Well, maybe.
We did this before when we were melting the crayons.
Oh, I just muted you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then just mute me again.
All right. You're muted, sir.
All right. I got it on the Swippy Swappy, Randy. So if you need to.
So it looks like the old timey one. It looks like it was just looking at the pictures on here. Yeah. Okay. So series 3.
Yeah, it was the end of series 3.
Episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Abominable Bride. Special set in 1895.
1895?
Yeah.
Oh.
What have you done?
Yeah.
What have you done?
Well, I got some good news and I got some bad news.
Let's see. What else have we got here? You've got Grando Mini. Review the first Grando.
Yeah, hold on. I won't be able to contribute much while I'm...
Yeah, I'm just setting you up.
This is where you have to be funny, Randy.
I have to what?
God. Randy, one time could you be funny on cue?
I didn't agree to this. This is bullshit. I didn't sign up for this crap.
Keep going. That's it. Yeah, you got it. It's working.
Stop laughing at my pain.
Tell everybody how much you hate me. It's good.
What else have you got? You're working on the Dragon Egg.
This is working to some degree.
Oh, you're talking about you're going to paint some spell effects? You haven't done anything with your spell effects yet, have you?
What's that?
Oh, here, let me... Oh,
I still need...
there you go. You haven't done anything with your spell effects yet, have you?
No, that is... Yeah, that's a crafting item for us. And then... I need to turn this back on for a little bit, Randy.
Okay, mute. Good to go. Oh, I can... Let's see. Jimmy's got some pictures of the D&D session he wants to share. We're still having... There's a problem where the Streamlabs OBS software, apparently, does not like rotated pictures for some reason. So, even though it's rotated, it doesn't want to show it that way. So I had to separate them. So, let me see here. Okay. There's the landscape versions. So, JB, what are these, the pictures that you took of the D&D session? Did you want to mention anything about those? I got the landscape ones up right now.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, just wanted to share. We're getting ready to do our session Wednesday. And, Randy, is there a way that you can create a frame for that? I don't know if there's a preset way to do a frame.
I don't know. I haven't done that yet. Let's see.
If you right-click on it or something. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so these are just some, the shots in the picture-in-picture are shots of our build.
I think you have to add the frame separately and...
Okay, yeah. The old frame that I had, yeah, I know that's true.
Did you just switch the camera?
I did it. I had to take it off. Remember I told you it was on the Swippy Swappy?
Oh, yeah.
Swippy Swap is off. You can put
okay.
It on. Yep, thank you. And also, Randy, you can see here I melted these. It got a little rough there.
Looks more organic that way.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think it will be okay when we layer them. So this is not optimal. I'm not loving this, but we're going to continue with our folly. So
again, opportunities abound.
Is I'm going to just start to do another set of layers, kind of like here. You know what I'm saying?
Put it like they're do it like they're hatching. So like have a little claw poking out that part there where it's melted into a larger
Randy
opening.
You're doing it again.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But making it more difficult than you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing here, so I sure as hell don't know how to do what you're talking about. I'm just trying to get the egg. Let's get the egg.
I'm just trying to lay a goddamn egg.
Right, and then the next time that we can look to see how we can have an animated dragon breaking it open as if it was Jurassic Park 12.
Oh, you're not gonna like genetically splice an actual live dragon?
Well, not for the prototype, no.
Oh, okay.
No, this is proof.
That's the follow-up. Okay, yeah, I got you. All right.
No,
I'm jumping ahead. Sorry.
Dragonfly and amber, whatever. I'm wondering if maybe I should pre-roll these. You like these pre-roll, Randy?
Yeah, roll it up.
These look like Pringles.
Mm.
They don't have ridges. All right. No, actually, Ruffles have ridges, not Pringles. Okay.
I think they probably do have Pringles that have ruffles now. Ridges, rather. Ruff.
So, with that, Randy...
Yes?
Alright, so what is it that we're talking about now?
You have Grando Mini? Review of the first Grando?
So yeah, that's something that we'll actually have to do a show of. But one of our Patreon levels is we have the Blando, we have the Fando, we have the Lando, and then those are the tiers that are the non-mini tiers, but if the exclusive elite, super secret, or not secret at all because I'm done right now.
Keep it secret.
Mini tiers, keep it secret, keep it safe. There's limited. They're not secret, but they're limited tiers. And you can get a miniature, or you can get a large one, large size. And I'm thinking, since you mentioned it, let me grab the box. I think the first one is actually going to be this guy at that level. I have to see what he looks like, but he looks like he's a pretty cool looking devil dude. Oh, totally cool devil dude. Huh. I'm a big fan of that and the work that he does. That's from Little Mickey. You're welcome.
That's crazy. Look, try to get it closer to the camera because.
I'm horrible at this.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. That's a crazy figure. That's nice.
So I got a bunch of these Wrath of Kings at a discount, and so I really liked him. I think I have a couple of him, and it's like, who can't use a big weapon wielding devil dude? So, anyways,
your mic was still muted. I'm like, what?
Oh, okay. That's right, Randy. You can your best Johnny Q impersonation recap.
So where did you say you got that from?
I think I got these from Miniature Market. Actually, yeah, I got these from Miniature Market. Wrath of Kings. They had a 50% off sale, and so I stocked up on some of these. And these are the same style, Randy, as the See People or Me video that I did. You might remember it from this guy.
My mom's like, JB's still muted. I said, lies. Already caught it.
Not in real time. Sure, maybe in like the past.
There's a 30-second delay, so
you guys live in the past. Randy, can you give me a little M50 lab? Can I switch over there? Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let's see. Work on the portrait pics.
Yeah, here. Oops.
You good with that view for a while? I'm gonna put you in studio.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You can see here, Randy, the See People. Remember?
Yeah.
So that's just the same company. It's the same. They did Wrath of Kings.
Oh, okay.
It's the same thing. So
nice.
I really like these. So when I saw a bunch of other stuff that they had, and so yeah, so I thought that these might be perfect for it. So this is the first one I think that we're going to do. So you can look forward to some progress on that. All right, let me put this back on the shelf. And Randy, I'm going to add that next layer of computer. What time is it?
It's 12:38 p.m.
Thank you, computer.
You don't sound like Mahale.
What's that?
I told computer she didn't sound like Mahale.
No. Nope, she does not. It's not all one computer, Randy. That's pretty That's pretty human-centric thinking of you. The people that we got Jacks from, they run that horse farm, and it was a young couple, and they were really nice people. They were super delightful.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, and you know, the type of work that they're doing, but they're younger, probably in their 20s, I think, and they came out and we talked to the girl for a while, and then I'm assuming this was her boyfriend who came up and was talking to us, and he kept saying, he said, we was just talking about like how you treat animals, and it's like I think that it's common for people to treat animals like humans when they should be doing like the opposite, and they treat animals like humans when they should be treating them like animals, and they treat them like humans when they ought not. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
said that horrifically, but you get what I'm trying to say. And when we were talking about that, and he was like, "Yeah, what is it that you're always saying?" He's like, "She's always, what's that word you always saying? Anthropomorphism." I was like, "Wow, nice." And but yeah, or no, he asked her and she said it. I don't think he did remember what it was, but it was funny that having this conversation about anthropomorphism with him out on the horse farm. And he kept saying that. He's like, "What is that? What is the thing that you're always saying? What is it? What is that word you're afraid? What is?" And they were just really a really enjoyable couple.
That's
and
cool.
Just super, super nice. Super nice. All right. Let me see here.
Caleb says, "Do you want Skynet? Because this is how you get Skynet."
Yes. Yes. Well, why wouldn't the robots kill us, Randy?
Why wouldn't they?
I think this is the question that I'm asking right now. This is what I'm posing to you. I think that because this is what I posed to you, my friend. Robots do not need to have they don't need to be sentient to kill us, right?
Right.
All that you need, they don't have to be self-aware. They just need to have the ability to rewrite their own programming.
Well, they don't even need that, really. Somebody could program them to kill you.
To grow. Like right now, if you take a robot, right, and you allow it to modify its own program, it has the ability to modify itself, then that's, you don't need sentience. Just that alone will probably be the downfall of man, in my opinion. Did I get a little too real for you, Randy? Did that just get a little real? We just got a little real up in the queue. If you can't handle real,
today on
maybe
Johnny
you
Q,
can't
we learned
handle
that
the
everyone
queue.
dies at the robot's hands.
I do. I used to think that it was folly, Skynet and stuff like that. But after that thing with, because they've been feeding computers information, the artificial intelligence, for so long. And there's that thing like, the YouTube thing where they asked YouTube, what does a cat look like? And it didn't show them a picture of a cat, but it showed them an amalgamation of pictures of things that it thought were cats based on its reasoning from all the cat videos everybody's posted.
Yeah.
And it's oddly accurate. And you're like, holy crap. I'm glad I don't have kids.
Caleb said, always thank your Google Assistant.
Yes. Yes, that's right. And that's why, yes, well said. So one day, Randy, it'll be us who will be doing the menial work for the machines, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Copper top. All right.
JC asked, have you seen Ex Machina?
Yes. Actually, I have a movie poster for it on our cool. Do a little swirl. We got this. Can we see through here? Yeah. Hold on, you gotta switch the camera. Yeah, you can see our backlit movie frame over there, and I actually was able to pick up one of those. Yeah, because I remember we tried to talk about this because we were talking about data, and JC had mentioned Measure of a Man, which I think is in season 2. The season 2 episode where Data is on trial for sentience, about sentience. But yeah, Ex Machina was amazing, very amazing.
Caleb said he has not seen it, but he has read Isaac Asimov.
Oh yeah, Isaac Asimov. Yeah, there's you know, I haven't read it, but I've read so much other stuff about it and played games that had to deal with it. It has this really interesting theory, Randy Asimov. It's Foundation series, or I'm sure. Again, we always say things wrong, so do your own fact finding. But he had the idea of these tenets of robotics, right? Have you ever seen like I Am Robot, Randy, with Will Smith?
Yeah,
that was part of Asimov's thing. I Am Robot, and it had these basic laws of robotics, and one of the basic laws of robotics is that a robot can never cause directly or indirectly harm to a human.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a really interesting concept that a man had this so long ago, imagined that the need that you would have to have for robots when they don't even remotely exist, right? We say the same thing about, although we are not always in line, by always I mean probably never in line with the politics of Orson Scott Card. He did an amazing job of imagining some things before there was a lot of stuff to base it on, you know? And I think that's pretty crazy. But Asimov, there's I think 3 laws of robotics. Computer, what are the 3 laws of robotics by Asimov?
Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics state: 1. A robot may not hurt a human being or allow a human being to be harmed. 2. A robot must obey orders given by a human being, except orders that would conflict with the first law. And 3. A robot must protect its own being as long as it doesn't clash with the first or second laws.
Well, and then there's the 4th one that they added, Randy, is that all robots must be sexy. It's a law.
Because why have...
Well, I mean, if you're going to have a robot, why not have a sexy robot? Anyways, but yeah, so that's some really interesting ideas.
R2-D2.
There was a really old game on the Commodore 64 that was based on it. I'm sorry, no, I didn't. I'm sure you just. I reprocessed. I re-listened to some of the things that went in my head, and I all I got was that there was a grr. So yeah, I want to hear this, please.
I said, because R2-D2.
I bet the back in R2-D2. Sorry. No, you'd put the deep. No, never mind. Oh, wow. That went really bad, really quick. This is why we don't talk about robots.
I put the R and D back.
This is why we don't talk about sexy robots, Randy. I'm sorry. It was my fault. I did it. I take full credit for the sexy robot portion of this conversation. And I mean to rectify it. But yeah, so that movie, Ex Machina, was really, really good. Really good. That's definitely, if you like the Asimov stuff, Caleb, I definitely would recommend checking it out. And thanks for being on the stream today. Really appreciate it. All right, Randy, I'm gonna need some glue here. Using our handy dandy. You are in your freaky mode, and you told me that. So.
Yep, you need to switch camera.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'll work around it. So I'm going to put some glue here.
Caleb said that I Am Robot is not a really good representation of Isaac Asimov.
Sure, yeah.
Bicentennial Man is closer to iRobot, the book at least.
What was? It's closer?
Bicentennial Man, Robin Williams.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen that or seen it all the way through. That's interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. And I did not mean to imply that I Am Robot featuring Will Smith is a good representation of his work. I just wanted to give you a point of reference, Randy, to it. But yeah, I can see where I don't know that I would think that would probably be the best. What's interesting too, Randy, they talk about science fiction, like the place of science fiction is to remind that's all that like real quote unquote science fiction is always like social commentary. because by talking about the future, they're talking about us, right? And I'd never really thought about that before. But it is a big part of it, but especially classical science fiction.
I can see that. It is interesting. I don't know how true that holds for everything that was originally done, but
yeah,
it's an interesting take on it. At least.
It's kind of like, I think that what they were kind of saying was like that's its place, is, you know, it's kind of its niche is to speak to it. That's kind of, it's like, it's why you're talking about the future, right? Why would you even need to talk about the future? Why is your story set in the future, right?
Well, I think there's different reasons different people would do it for different things. Some would do it for that purpose, and others would do it just because they think it's cool and fun and lets them explore. But certainly others would do it for, you know, a purpose of exploring culture and humanity.
Randy, I think it's really cute that you think that. No, I'm joking. No, I agree. This isn't necessarily my tenet, but I did think it was interesting. Well, Randy, if you can see here, I think there's something interesting going to be happening here. I'm not sure I'm going to like it when it's done, but I think that there's going to be something interesting here.
We got too many things going on at once here. Hey Shay, what's up?
Hey Shay.
Shay said that she has an adorable robot. He's from Anki, named Vector. Google him. He's probably the best thing that she ever invested in.
Huh.
Let me Google it.
Well, you say that now, but when it's feasting on your corpse, I will laugh and laugh. No, I won't. That would be horrible. We like Shay. Randy, Shay was a day one patron supporter. Did you know that?
Nice.
And because of that, she has actually seen stuff that you have not seen.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know why?
Look at you.
I'm gonna take us to our mental health moment, Randy. And here on Addition Through Distraction, instead of just adding value to your life by distracting you from whatever drudgery you may be experiencing, we take a moment and kind of talk about some of our own experiences normalizing health issues, especially some of the garden varieties that we're familiar with. And one of them, today's theme, Randy, I want to talk about was about asking for help and how hard that is. And I have had a lot of hard time in my life doing that, especially when it comes to mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And I thank you as a friend, because I think that you have helped me by talking about your own experiences. And when I did go and end up talking to the doctor about maybe getting some medication for my anxiety issues. It was hard. It's hard to, right? It's hard to talk to it about people. And so that's kind of what we just do here, is just kind of, you don't feel guilty about having a headache, right? So
yeah.
There's a lot of mental ailments that are physical based, and yet we think that because we are suffering from them that we are weaker, lesser people, and that is not the case. Actually, I find that a lot of people who suffer from mental illnesses are some of the most courageous and strong and heroic people that I've ever known. Because there's a lot that there's a lot of dragons they're slaying along the way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted to take this as a moment, and I'm going to put you on the spot, Randy, and I'm going to ask you for something, but you can't respond. Okay? Good. Well done. But that wasn't it. That wasn't the thing I was going to ask.
And scene.
Yeah. Who's on first? Shay has seen a dragon twerk, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that you have. And she has seen that because she has.
I may have actually.
Uh oh. Yeah, you may have.
I gotta remember the part of the studio that I'm sitting in here. So.
Well, right, but when you are the dragon, well, yeah, you've never seen a dragon twerk that wasn't you. There you go. And because she has access to one of the vids on Patreon.
Nice.
That was part of her shout out as being a day one Patreon subscriber. And Randy, one of the things that's been hard for me as I'm doing the studio work and trying to do this, again, asking for help, and you can't answer, but I would like for you to consider backing me on Patreon. And you don't say anything because you can't say anything. So if you would, then you would have access to videos such as that. And you do not have to. You don't have to do it. But this is a hard thing that I'm doing right now. And as we share the experiences that we're going through, this is something that's very hard. It feels like begging. But I wanted to do it on stream because it is hard. And I was going to make it part of our mental health minute. So you can talk now.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Sorry. Well, Randy.
Also trying to do far too many things at the same time here.
Yeah, well, the only one that you need to pay attention to was dragon twerking.
Gotcha.
And if anybody backs on Patreon, and that's at, I think, at any level, on any level, or it might just be at her. I think it is at any level. Anybody who backs on Patreon, I believe, gets to see that video because I wanted her shout out to go out to everybody. I wanted everybody to know about them day ones because that's important. And again, we support people who support art. So thanks, everybody. Man, this is cool. We had several people on our stream concurrently, Randy. That's nice. I'm not loving this one as much, Randy. If you can take a look, but it may be different when we
looks like a flower
as we move down. So the next thing is, Randy, I'm gonna put some glue on the underside of these and then pin those down. I'll do that for both of them while we're. Randy, we had a topic, and of course I derailed us.
Well, hold on. I need to get caught up on chat, and I'm still trying to do some stuff with the pictures.
Yeah. Chat first,
the portrait
absolutely.
ones.
We're just not used to chats. That's great.
Yes, Shay, I am a little jealous, actually. Thanks for bringing it up. Thanks for rubbing it in.
You should be. Hey, man, what is the
not that twerk.
what is it worth having? Exclusive perks and stuff if you can't rub it in someone's face, right?
Oh, a special twerk. Oh.
Randy, you need to see it because I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Well, actually, maybe not. Well, you would enjoy it, but you wouldn't be surprised because unfortunately you've been privy to way more than a human ought to be.
All
right, here. Oh,
Caleb said sometimes a sci-fi banana is just a sci-fi banana.
So nice. Ray, could you help me switch it to?
Yeah, 1 second.
Because we are freeze frame.
Shay, that robot is adorable, by the way.
Oh yeah, I want to hear more about the robot.
And okay, so you need this, and which means I have to.
And you can either just give me
everything I was doing and try to.
You can just give me temporary control, or you can just switch to the scene.
Well, I had to close what I was in the middle of doing to be able to do that. That's
okay. And let me get this down in here. Get all up in the mix. Yes. Yeah. So when you do get a chance, I do want to know more about the robot. And I need you to talk to me in a very sexy voice when you do
it. a sexy robot voice?
Oh, man, you just really know how to go whole hog, don't you, son? Man, the heart wants what it wants, Randy.
All right. Are you happy with your camera angle right now?
Affirmative.
Okay.
That's what robots do. They say, do not say yes. We say affirmative. Yes. Yes.
Wasn't there episodes of like
unless we are very familiar with the robot, yes, then you can say yes if you're very familiar.
Episodes of the Jetsons where Rosie was like trying to be sexy or something.
Oof, that's hot.
Or there was another robot that was either she fell in love or I think she fell in love.
Randy, is that like robot
a vacuum
MILF
cleaner or something?
Is that like robot
what am I
MILF
remembering?
porn?
Is it what robot?
Robot MILF porn. RILF.
Where the M in MILF stands for maid.
Is this? Did we just create RILF? No, we didn't create it because I know that exists because it is the internet and people. So I'm certain that if you, I mean, don't look it up on my computer, guy.
Make sure I'm on JV's profile and share with all. Okay, got it.
All right.
Shay said that when she's a special guest, she'll bring him in.
Nice. Nice.
The sexy
nice,
robot.
Nice. I look forward to that. All righty. Let me see here.
Okay.
Randy, I need some more pens. There we go. Luckily, we have them handy.
All right, Jippy, I'm back in studio mode.
You are?
Yep.
Okay. That's fine. I think. Yep. Yep. All right. So, Randy, I think with this one, you know, I got what I got. We got the second rounds here. Well, this one didn't pop out. There. And these popped out. Yeah, I might have to do these again and again. This is what we had. And then this is the other one.
Looks like the M50 is frozen, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Correct. Thank you. So, yep, they look butt ugly. But that's always the way. Things always get ugly before they get pretty.
Well, they're eggs. They kind of came out of a butt. So,
Randy, I have something I want to talk to you about. I need to have a frank conversation with you, my friend. About
what I do.
About when good-looking people turn ugly.
Oh.
Isn't it funny?
Like Val Kilmer.
Well, I don't know. Well, that is a fine example.
That's so sad.
Yeah, and
Brendan
then also you can look at
what happened?
The kid from Home Alone. Macaulay Culkin.
Shay said that her robot is not sexy. He's adorable.
Adorbs.
Totes adorbs.
Yeah, whatever.
So my thing with
we see
Val
your
Kilmer.
robot is gonna be humping somebody's leg. And...
So my thing with Val Kilmer is like after Saint, then he did like Look Good in Saint, and then he did Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah,
he looked okay in that, but after that is like suddenly he decided that he wanted to become Marlon Brando.
A what?
Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
And like, so suddenly he looked like Marlon Brando, who had really let himself go at that point. Like,
not the
way. And it was like, what?
You're the
just
delivery
happened?
boy.
It was shocking. But anyway, everybody has their issues.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is I don't want to hate on ugly people because they're alive and they have mirrors.
No,
they have mirrors and they're around people, and ugly people do not get kindness in life. And one of the things is like you take somebody like who was the I See Dead People, right? That actor, the kid actor from The Sixth Sense. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it was like, it's weird when you have like a face that can be like, oh, that is so cute as like a kid's face. And then when it changes into a human head, it's just like, oh, it's still like those features, but they didn't quite, you know. And it's funny. It seems like, you know, with a lot of humans that there's probably a 20-year gap that's, you know, right for you. This is when you're going to be your best version of yourself. This is when you go to heaven, this is the version. See you.
Haley Joel Osment.
Haley. Yeah. When you go to heaven, that's the version of you. You get to pick when you go to heaven, Randy, which version your avatar is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that, you know, there's a sweet spot in there, right? And it's not for everybody, right? It's not the same for everybody. Some of them it was when you were 8 to 12. Some of you it's, you know, when you're 25 to 30, and some people it's, you know, 55 to 60, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So
that's really interesting.
I'm still waiting for mine, by the way. I'm holding on. I'm hoping I can make it to 80. So maybe I think it might be 80, 85 is my golden, my wheelhouse. But, you know.
You're going to be a hot grandpa?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm holding out for hot grandpa.
Oh, man. Come on. Hot grandpa. Hot grandpa. Well, you know, it's from what I hear, there is a resurgence of activity in the rest homes, Randy. Have you heard that?
I have heard that.
That they've
not lately. But
I guess not lately, but I do. There was an issue with the sexual diseases
once
becoming rampant.
Yeah, Viagra. When Viagra came out.
Yeah, when Viagra hit the scene, they were like, "Holy heck!" Alrighty. Okay. So we got done with the eggs, and Randy, I think I'm gonna pull out this. I'm gonna work on the monster here that we were the aforementioned guy. I think I'm gonna pull him out and take a look. We had the spell effects, and then also I think I'll do a little bit of work on this as well because we're good. All right, Randy. Robots. I do love. So here's my question for you, Randy. When it comes to robot talk, right?
Yeah.
So with robots and sentience, what do you think that would mean, right? What do you think is sentience? So, and I can start with some thoughts that I have if you want, but I would prefer for you to
I can comment on this, but we're gonna have to totally scrap the picture.
Oh, we can talk. We can go pictures if you're ready to do picture talk.
No, I'm still trying to work on it because the system is being.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can.
As ever and even
Yeah,
more so
we can scrap. Yeah, you could totally.
Because I did have it ready.
Yeah, that section's going to be running for a while, so they're not super time sensitive. The review. And also, I've been posting a lot of those pictures on Patreon, so people can check us out on Patreon, or not on Patreon, on Instagram. Check us out on Instagram.
Cool.
We post every day there, and I have a lot of those shots that are up for that. Let me do an M50 reboot. A little chilly. I forgot my my hoodies. All right. So,
JC said the fear of death, but then you come back to like what constitutes the fear of death.
that's a good one. That is a really that's a really interesting criteria because there was this college class I took and it really left an impact on me. It talked about this concept of mortality salience.
Because if you're talking about like an animal, sorry, the fear of death got me. If you're talking about an animal, like how do you say, humans are sentient and this animal isn't sentient?
Yeah, and so
you got to break out like survival instinct versus fear of death specifically, and like so how do you quantify that?
Yeah, so. Fear of death, I think, is a good one, and that's the thing too. Is before we get into the robot talk, I think it's helpful to talk about animals. Like, do you think that animals are sentient? Because I don't think animals are. I think animals are amazing. I think they're wonderful creatures. I think people that do harm against animals tend to be really horrible people. But I do not think of them as sentient creatures because I think of sentience as being something different. But like Carrie, for example, she definitely thinks that animals are sentient, and I think it has to do with her definition being slightly different. So, do you think animals are sentient?
Yeah, you have to decide what you think sentience is to be able to answer that question.
And for us to have this conversation further, when I would like to, you need to know kind of what you're working with. Some of the pieces here, you can see what I got.
I mean, it's not. I don't know that it's a clear-cut thing. I think there's a lot of just personal.
Sure, I mean, yeah.
Because
there's no.
I don't know that I don't think we definitely know what consciousness is. What sentience is exactly. So we have to try to define it in a certain way. We have to decide like this is what this thing is, and there's a lot of debate about exactly what that is. I think, but I mean, because it used to be said that it was like self-awareness. You're sentient. You're sentient
right
if you're self-aware.
And
you're aware of self.
That's a huge criteria for me.
Yeah,
is self-awareness.
So.
And then what does that mean?
And then, like, if you're talking about something you can't communicate with on an equal level, then how are you going to know? Like, you have to try to figure out some type of experiment that's going to let you decide whether or not an animal does actually have some sort of sense of self.
There's actually a lot of interesting. Here's an interesting thing. We both agree that we think that humans we probably both agree that humans are sentient, at least for argument, right? But I don't believe, I don't know, you don't either, that they're born sentient. So at what point do they become sentient? And for me, it's at what point do they become self-aware? And for a kid, one of the tests for understanding when they become self-aware is when they start to recognize themselves in a mirror, that's me in the mirror.
Yeah, that was a big
one. And that happens traditionally, I guess, I think between like 2 and 3 is when you start to see that happen. Because there's a point to where babies do not recognize themselves and then a point to where they do. And I think that's an interesting type of of thing where we can say, you know, this is a clear cut example of, you know, of that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, there's so much going on. Like when babies are their brains are forming, they're taking in so much information. Like, just because they don't behave in a certain way or seem to understand that the person in the mirror is them at that point,
I mean, I'm not saying that's
if
it's
that's
that
a sign
exact
that they're
point.
not sentient. Like,
no, but
point,
I'm
like,
saying that once they do, that it shows evidence of sentience.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not saying that is the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Louis C.K. I think says that the first memory that you have is an epic crap that you take. And he's like, because he's like, man, he says, you all remember that at some point being a kid and having that really tough one. And he says, I think that's the thing that boots you up and puts your sentience or puts your mind online. That's the whole thing about it. It's kind of funny. It's like that's what boots you up.
No, that is not my first memory.
Uh-huh.
My first memory is like an idealized, stylized version of actual events. It's kind of like halfway in between real memory and dream and everything all mixed together. But
what age?
Because my family 3, and I know for a fact it was 3 because it was my 3rd birthday. But the family was traveling out west, and so my memory is of standing, which this doesn't really exist, but this is how the memory is idealized and stylized, is that I'm in this field of tall grass that's gently waving in the breeze all around me. I'm gonna need you
to tell me this in your sexy robot voice. I am in tall grass. Go ahead.
Later. And so the tall grass is gently blowing all around me, swaying back and forth, and it's about like waist high, I guess, probably. And I'm just in this field surrounded by this, and I look up and I'm surrounded by a ring of mountains, and in the front,
is this the Mount Rushmore?
Yeah,
thingy?
in front of me is the faces of Mount Rushmore, bigger than real life, bigger, like right in my face practically. They're so huge, so perfect, and the sky is just the perfect blue with fluffy white clouds, and then I hear somebody call my name, and it's my mom, and I turn around, and there's our camper in the middle of this meadow in this circle of mountains by itself. And so I walk into the camper, and my brothers and dad are sitting at the little camper table, and my mom is leaning over it, icing this tiny little cake with green icing, and they're laughing at her, and she's like, "It's all I could find," or something. "It's all I could come up with." It was because of the green icing.
Why was green icing bad? Just because it was a dream?
No, that's just all she could. That's all she had was the green icing. I don't know why they were making it. Nobody liked green, I guess, was the nobody in the family liked green. Yeah. So that's my first memory. So aspects of it are true. That did occur.
I have when I was
just not quite like that.
When I was 1, I lived in a house, and so I think I was like 1.5 or 2 when we moved into the house that I grew up in for most of my life. So I thought, do I have any memories of that other house, right? Mm-hmm. And I had a memory of it. One of my first memories, I thought that it was from that house. I know it can't be real because it dealt with a phone that I had a toy phone, and I had placed a call to my grandma who lived out of state. So there's no way that could be, but I remember talking to her on the phone.
Was your grandma's name Clarice?
Clarice.
Were you like,
"Hello, Clarice"?
Quid pro quo.
In a kid's voice.
"Hello, Clarice."
"Hello, Grandma." "Quid pro quo, Grandma. Quid pro quo."
"Sour beans, Grandma."
"I don't know what that means. Could you help me? I'm not up on my Latin, Grammy. Grammys, I don't know much Latin, but my Latin." Good times. So I'm just doing some dry fits on these pieces here. I think eventually what I'm going to use, Randy, is some goop. Literally, there's the brand of goop, but it's also E6000 I think they're literally the same thing. They look exactly the same.
See, you say goop, and I think what we use to get stains out of laundry
Oh,
or to
really?
clean your hands. Yeah.
Oh,
goop.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they also, if it's in a bottle like this and it says goop, which this almost says goop, right? You just...
Yeah, you can imagine it saying
Right.
goop, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
There we go. Let's see. Hold on. There's goop. This stuff, yeah, we use this on these types of plastic on plastic for a little hot plastic on plastic action.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. You know what I'm talking about. You know when I say, all right, let's see here. I think though with this, I'm gonna want to just stick a couple, maybe stick as.
You know, it's pretty bad when you smell like burning plastic smell,
Uh-huh.
and you have to go over to your bucket of plastic pieces and be like, "Hey guys, calm down, all right? Don't make me get the hose."
Oh hey, hey
Enough
there
of this-
now.
This hot.
No
Plastic on plastic
PDA,
action.
no PDA amongst you plastic pieces, right? It's
Mhm.
we're gonna have to put up a new rule. We're gonna get what was her name? It's a lot funnier if you can remember stuff, Randy.
Indeed.
Umbridge, where she zaps him with the wand and makes them separate. All right, man, these pieces are loose. Usually when you get these, they kind of will stick on their own accord.
Uh-huh.
And these do not do that at all. So it's not like I can kind of pre-assemble it, but each piece fits in nicely, and that is good because sometimes with these they don't. Like this one, I think is going to need to be nipped a little bit, maybe.
Sorry, let me try
Yeah,
to
have
finally
to
get this,
nip
put
this
together
in the
here.
bud
If I
a
can
little
find
bit.
where these pictures went.
All right, so with sentience then. So
Yeah, hold on. JC said animals fear death, at least.
They
he
do.
feels that they do. And Caleb said the capacity for self-sacrifice.
That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I like that one. I really like that one. One of the reasons, Randy, why I don't think that animals are sentient, and one of the things that I think differentiates us, and why I don't think that they're self-aware, is that an animal won't kill himself. An animal will not kill himself the way a human will kill himself. And to me, it makes me think that there is something very fundamentally different in the way that we perceive our existence amongst the two.
Yeah. I don't know. With stuff like that, I'm always like, do we know that for certain that an animal won't kill themselves?
I just told you.
I know.
Okay, let's just back up. And
I'm like, just because
that is true. I do not believe that there are examples of that. I mean, yeah, we have not even seen all the animals that do exist. If it did exist, it would be an aberration. But
what about moths when they fly to a flame? How do you know that they're not going like, I'm going out in a blaze of glory? Yeah.
They're like young. This reminds me of Young Guns 2. We're talking about a blaze. Oh, we don't want to get. Although my singing it'll never register on the Shazam bot. That. Man, see, this doesn't fit so great.
Hey, I'm bound determined. You talk amongst yourselves. I'm bound determined to get these goddamn photos.
Okay, so that was the self-sacrifice. So yeah, the fear of another one was doubt, Randy. I thought this is a qualification, right? If you doubt yourself, maybe that's self-awareness, true doubt. Can you truly doubt yourself? Is it possible for you to doubt yourself? But or indecision, and you do see it with animals, right? You do see animals have indecision, and I'm always curious what's going on when animals are experiencing indecision. Right? Like they're thinking, do I jump up here? Do I not jump up here?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And so there's some sort of reasoning that's going on there, right? It's not just instinctual, and it's not just learned behavior, right? There's something cognitive that appears to be going on. And that type of thing does make me want to believe, in a type of sentience, perhaps, but not on the level that I think about humans. Another one that I think is important is that, like, I don't believe that animals really communicate. I don't believe that animals have language. And people will argue that point, and that's fine. But I personally don't think that that's true. I don't think that whale songs are the same thing as English, right? I don't think animals animals don't have culture, really. And that could be because they don't fear their own death, because they don't have mortality salience. One of the things that I was taught in one of those classes was that all culture comes out of our mortality salience. The whole reason why humans have culture is because of their fear of death and their need to exist beyond their own life. And I think that's a powerful and probably very true
One
thought.
thing in anthropology, they were talking about death rites and stuff, and like caring for the sick and infirm, and how you treat the dead.
Yeah, that's interesting.
There's also, I believe it was National Geographic. I haven't watched it. I saw the pic, the thumbnail for it, basically, and the headline or whatever. But it was talking about how they have these animals that they have.
Legs don't go on the arm parts, Randy. Not very well, at least.
So they have these little kind of realistic robots that look like the animals. So they insinuate these little animal robots into the environment of the animals so that they can get a closer view of the actual interaction without disturbing them from a person getting that close.
Uh-huh.
And there was an instance where the baby chimp robot, they thought it was dead, and they seemed to mourn it.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, like, I didn't watch it, so I don't know. But it's National Geographic, so
it's all
it
lies.
should be a scientifically based
Lies.
consideration. But again, I haven't watched that yet. However, I did watch.
Aren't National Geographic a bunch of flat earthers?
Flat Earthers. I don't think so.
You didn't see the National Geographic Flat Earth special?
I saw a special about flat Earth, flat Earthers. I don't believe it was National
I
Geographic.
don't believe. I have to double check. I don't think. Actually, I don't think they had any accreditations. That's a word I'm not
for
gonna
the
be able to
Flat
say.
Earthers documentary.
What's that?
The Flat Earthers documentary didn't have any accreditation.
Yeah, probably not.
What was I talking about?
You said.
I saw a documentary about turkeys, wild turkeys.
Okay.
And they actually have specific calls. And I've mentioned this to you before, because you don't think that animals have any language and stuff. But
Right.
so this is my take on that I found extremely interesting.
Uh-huh.
So wild turkeys apparently have many, many, many specific calls, to the point of like the type of snake, whether or not it is or is not poisonous, and how the rest of the flock should deal specifically with this specific type of snake. Totally different calls, supposedly.
Right.
So I thought it was rather fascinating, and does definitely seem like.
Well, let me ask you this, Randy. So let's say they, I can see they have language, but I'm saying most animals do not have language. I mean, humans are animals, right? So there are animals with language, but non-human animals, that has to be. I think it's very rare and far between, right? Or do you think that all animals probably would possess something like that? Do you think that there's any?
All animals
do you think that there's
communicate
any
in some way?
Do you think that there's any animals that have a shared history? Have a history?
There are some interesting things, and I haven't seen. They used to say anyway. I haven't seen anything on this recently, so I don't know if they still believe this or not. That elephants and some other animals, they used to talk about genetic memory.
Yeah, I know dolphins. I was talking about dolphins are being like super smart, but yeah, with the elephants though, with the
like
genetic memory in particular.
Yeah, genetic memory. So like, even if like a salmon, like they return to where they were
right
spawned,
right.
Even though they and some other animals, even though they may have never have been to wherever it is, they can still make that journey.
Right.
So
think it's based on
I
memories,
forgot
though.
what I was.
You
why I
think
was
that's
going
based
that
on
direction.
memories, though? That's the history. I mean,
Yeah. So
we're-
what is that like?
Oh, it's just genetics, man. I mean, because what is it?
What makes them return to that specific spot?
Butterflies migrate, right?
Yeah.
But no butterfly migrates the whole trip, right? Monarch butterflies. I saw this documentary about monarch butterflies, right? They start really far north and they go down into like South America, right? But it's like 3 generations from the time that they start to the time that they get there. It's not one butterfly that flies down there and then comes back, right?
That's different from what I remember. Because I thought they were tracking certain ones and like I
That's
don't know where they went.
You're true. That's true. They were tracking some, but I think that they were tracking them along the way. But okay.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't know.
Computer. How long does it take monarch butterflies to migrate? Computer. How long does it take a monarch butterfly to migrate?
This might answer your question.
It might not.
Does It by Kid Cudi is 4 minutes and 22 seconds long.
Thank you. That was absolutely the information that we were looking
God damn it,
for.
Alexa.
I
You
appreciate
have to
you,
speak in
and I
a
look
really-
forward to you not enslaving us
bad-
in the future.
Cockney accent, JV. How many times do I have to tell you?
Oi, Alexa.
Don't blow your mic.
Fancy. I'm gonna spot a bother in it. So, computer.
JC said his cat keeps trying to kill itself by eating stupid crap around the house.
So, all right.
Clearly, that is a cry for help.
That is. All right.
Poor kitty. What have you done to the poor thing to depress it so?
That's funny. All right. I'm going to have to just leave this, set it, and forget it.
All right. I can't
And
talk
move on.
and ADD the freaking pictures of this. You're supposed to do this stuff beforehand. All right. So that's here.
All right.
What are you
So
working on now?
I pasting some arms onto our
Mm.
Grando fig. And Randy, you can see here,
So they can give a reach around.
you see this this cleft, this cleavage.
Oh.
It's not good cleavage.
Oh.
There's only so close that we're going to be able to get this, so we'll have to end up probably using some 2-part epoxy and filling in those gaps. That's not an uncommon thing on miniatures.
Never mind.
Yeah. They hate us because they taint us.
Directory.
Yeah, this isn't. I'm gonna come back and revisit you. Sometimes I just had, it's what this. I find my
Why
person.
can't I quit you? Oh, that's it.
Thank you for that, Randy. That was the last one.
Portrait Jason. Why the pictures aren't showing up in the folder? Why?
With this group stuff, I find that I have to.
Oh, it's just a stamp
It seems like it really reacts to the air, right? And you have to get it into wherever you're trying to put, the little recess that you have, and get those 2 pieces together quickly, and don't let any air get in there, because you'll get it on one, and I think when you put the other one in, this side that you're trying to join to is now already started to oxidize, for lack of a better word. Are you listening to me, Randy? I'm making finger motions.
I am not, because I did not think you were talking to me. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So, fair listeners, I find that with this, and so like this joint is not going to stay now. It's so I'm gonna have to redo it, but I'm probably going to need to dry it out and scrape out what's in there. But before we do that, more, Randy. That's always better. You know what? Just more.
Oh,
Just
you
more
know
of it.
what? This is this damn program. It doesn't like to play nice when it in studio mode. It behaves differently. It doesn't show you everything that you're actually doing in real time. Yeah, that makes it more difficult than it needs to be.
Here we go.
Okay.
Alrighty.
So, well, let me try this.
Language. So yeah, because I mean things like whale songs. I guess we digress that to the monarchs, right? And we weren't able to justify whether or not the monarchs take multiple lives. I don't know, lifetimes. But that was my understanding, Randy, was that the monarch, the life of them is such. We'll try to see if maybe we can verify that. But you guys all have the internet, so you'll know before I will.
Now, I don't know that anybody actually, like, scientifically said that whale song was definitely language. What they did say was that it seems to contain a huge amount of data, possibly.
I think that there was absolutely people that say that.
They definitely wanted it to be, and they suspected that it was, but I don't know that scientifically they said this is definitely what this is.
Right. Well, I don't know if you can scientifically prove it.
Yeah.
I don't know
because they'd have to translate it, I guess, or at least track enough whales for a long enough time that they could say, okay, this certain piece of song is clearly means take a left at the third mermaid on the right.
Nice.
So
I like that. That was well done. Take a left at the third mermaid. Sorry, I'm thinking about Jay and Silent Bob, but I don't want to repeat what they said. I'm going to keep it a little friendly. Anyways, I'm going to bring up our yellow gelatinous cube, Randy, and work on that while these pieces here are drying on this guy. And then I'll try to work on him in the interim as well, and maybe even see if I can get a layer of another layer of the eggs done as well. But we have this here. Let me see if I got a little something here we can use. There, and some inks. Randy, I'm gonna move these guys over here.
what are you doing?
You don't worry yourself about what I got going on.
I'm not falling for that crap again. Too much trouble begins
All right,
this way,
so this
baby.
Say ah.
No.
Ah. I'm gonna be. We had our gelatinous cube that we started on.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and put some inks on him.
All right. It looks like this may work finally. Maybe if the transition button wants to work.
Ooh.
Why? Why? Oh, there we go.
Hey. Aw. That's cool. So these are pictures of our D&D session. We do some pretty epic builds. If you check us out on Instagram, you can see them. And we have D&D tomorrow. This is all stuff that I have. Almost everything on the table has at least been painted by me. Not everything. Some of the minis are pre-painted, like that. Those minis were pre-painted. But pretty much everything else was that doorway was painted by us. The fire columns, those were repainted by us. All the floor pieces were painted by us. Some of the foam tiles, those were actually crafted by us. So it's a mix of stuff. Over about 4 years worth now of doing this, and it's pretty fun. I really am having a good time. Man, why is I put my phone on silent? I didn't realize.
What are you?
Holy, I don't know. I do not know. What in the world? My phone is just going nuts.
Are you having conversation with fish or something? With lots of bubbles?
Well, that's usually like when you and the boys start like joking about things. Sheesh. I think it was Google Photos.
It's been a long time since there's been a messenger shenanigans
Yeah.
tennis match.
Yes. Talk about your hijinks and your hilarities. All right, so I'm just gonna add some yellows. Start off here just to see if we can add some places and increase some of the color, I guess, density on this. But yet still want to preserve a ton of translucency. And then I'm going to try to mix in some greens as well, so it's not all one color.
I can't remember with that piece. Did it come clear or
Yeah.
did it already come
Nope, yeah, it was clear as clear.
totally clear?
Yeah.
Okay. And was that sold as
Gelatinous cube.
gelatinous cube?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it actually has a base underneath it, Randy. I think it's like a skeleton and like a treasure pile kind of thing that you can potentially see through it, right? So if you actually have a figure, or sort of top of a figure, this figure's probably too big. I don't have a smaller figure handy, but yeah, I do.
Where's a gnome when you need one?
Here you go. Assassin's Creed type figure that I would like to get back to painting one day. Yeah, so and you can see there, Randy, the cube done got him. He done got taken by the cubes. Alrighty. You know what? No. Well, just already starting to add some of this is making me optimistic that this will work. And these are just straight up inks. I didn't dilute them with the floor pledge, but that floor acrylic really does help on especially on the initial, to give you some binding onto these on the plastic. Otherwise, it just seems like when I use these inks, they just want to pool. And these also could probably benefit Randy. They always tell you to wash your minis off because they got binding agents.
Please,
they got released.
Please remember to wash your minis.
Yes. They say to wash your minis before you paint them because there's a release agent that's typically on your minis, that can be still on them from the mold. But I'll tell you, I've never washed my. Well, I did once, and I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing that. I mean, I'm going to wash them because something that may happen, right? I'm going to do all this extra work for something that I've never seen evidence that actually exists. How about I'll just fix the one where it actually does occur rather than do a bunch of extra work for something that may never. You know what I mean? Just didn't make sense to me.
I don't think it's. I think it was more to do with the. I can't remember, the metal ones that had
Reaper,
it, or
the Reaper Bones ones in
the first
particular.
plastics. Yeah.
They used to, and maybe they're just a better job of doing that now. Of the cleaning might just be better. So maybe that's an older
They said that
issue.
for the bones, because the bones were the one. Wasn't the bones the ones that they said supposedly didn't even need primed? I think the bones were the ones they touted that didn't need primed.
Well, Randy. Yeah. I think that's true. That does sound accurate. But I'm trying to think of like they say, well, all you really need to do is just wash them. You don't need to prime, but you do probably want to wash them.
Oh, by the way, happy Squirrel Appreciation Day.
Squirrel. Is this Squirrel Appreciation Day?
So there's something. Yes, today is Squirrel Appreciation Day.
Can you post the link to Germans trying to say the word squirrel? It always makes me smile. Squirrel. Apparently Germans.
I didn't have a problem with that one though. I was like, what? They're saying squirrel? I don't understand. It's a German person saying squirrel. It sounds like a German person saying squirrel. I don't know.
Squirrel. I love that you think that sounds like squirrel.
It's like, I get it. It's an accent. What's the problem?
No, it's not that. There's a letter combination that they trip on.
Certain
because
syllables.
They don't. I guess there's just not a German word that has an equivalent. So
we've talked about this before with like learning languages and why it's more difficult as you get to when you become an adult, because
supposed to be places in your brain, right?
There's changes
and physiological things like in your ears as well.
As you get older, like certain frequencies become harder to hear and stuff. And
we talked about, I think that there was some supermarkets or like convenience stores, and they were playing these annoying frequencies that only kids could hear to keep them from the front of hanging out the front of the store.
That's crazy.
And then there was also, I guess, they said on the media, whether it's how accurate it is, who knows, but that kids were using it as a secret ringtone because the adults couldn't hear it, but they could. Which is clever if true. Alrighty, let's see here.
Oh, but they were talking about
I forgot I had a guy on here.
So if you never encountered certain aspects of a language, namely certain sounds that are common in that language,
there's a term.
If you did not encounter them
there?
between like certain ages, then you would never be able to correctly pronounce that language, because you would not, your brain would not have an awareness of those sounds. Like you wouldn't hear it, so you couldn't reproduce it.
Yeah, and so that's like, I think,
which is just crazy.
Some of that too is like why I think, you know, like what is it, the Russian, right? The V's with the Russians, right? Was it in Star Trek? The V's, right? It says Vulcan. It doesn't say Vulcan. He says Vulcan.
V's or W's, W's or V's.
Yeah. I mean, I know that some of that, I guess, is also how those are pronounced. Those things are pronounced in that language. But it's like we're like older people, they can't get past that, right? People that they could spend longer in the country than, you know, when they came in. Say they came in, they were 25 or 30, right? And they could be in the country for 50 years and still not say it right. Or, you know, the way that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how could that be, you know? And we can imitate all kinds of accents, right? So it's a really fascinating thing. Computer, what's a diphthong?
Dictaphone was an American company founded by Alexander Graham Bell that produced dictation
Computer,
machines.
stop.
It is now a division of Nuance Communications.
Computer, stop.
Don't make me backhand you, Alexa.
He'll do it. You don't want to see Randy when he gets angry. Turns into the Credible Hulk and supports his argument with facts. It was like, cool
That
thing.
is that was hilarious.
That was Credible Hulk.
That was Chris that had that, right?
I think so. Yeah, he was the first one I saw that had that. It was good. Right.
So a diphthong, by the way.
Yeah, what is a diphthong?
It's a noun.
It's a noun. That's good.
A sound formed by the combination of two vowels in a single syllable, in which the sound begins as one vowel and moves toward another, as in coin, loud, and side.
So and this is going to be inaccurate, so I'm just going to tell you that right off the front. I'm going to say some things and they're not going to be right. I think, Randy, that like when you take a look at languages and you break down languages, I think that may be like a unit of measure, right, as a diphthong, because I think there might be only so many unique diphthongs in a language. And when you compare the complexities of languages and you compare the sounds, I think a diphthong might be that unit. And I'm not sure if that's the word I'm looking for or not, but that's why I asked computer about diphthongs. Well, also, when I dip, you dip, we dip. In our thongs, nonetheless.
I scream, you scream, we all...
yeah, it's same
different.
Same thing, just different. All right. Yes.
Apparently, I do know how to spell this word.
All right. And Randy, you're not off the hook on the Ascensions talk. We're going to keep talking about that. That'll be a conversation that we.
Oh yeah, it's an ongoing combo.
Some more yellow here. I dip, you dip, we dip. I put my hand upon thine hip. Whence I dip, thine dip. We all dip. Who's going to be mostly yellow, I think, on the top end.
And what was it when I was talking about? I think it was Chinese. There's like at least 6 different variations of the sound E or something like that. So it means totally different words just on the different inflection or the slight different pause or whatever that you take within that sound.
That's like with language, it's really crazy, right? Because you think about read and read, like I read a book, or, you know, to read is fundamental, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the same word. It's the same word, but it's 2 different words. And it's like, why? Really?
Yeah.
We couldn't make this another word. We're going to have to make 2 words the same, and just that contextually you know how to say it.
Yeah.
And it's just like funny. But what's really funny is this how quickly, or not necessarily quickly, but how adaptly the human mind can adapt to that.
Yeah.
And
That's
like
one thing
things like pen and pen, like a stick pen or a writing pen.
Yeah.
Like I guess those are said differently, and I do not have the ability to say them differently. Pen and
Depends who you
pen
ask.
are the
Yeah.
same word to me, and I N pen pen. I don't know, but I think that they are actually pronounced slightly different, right?
Let's see what the internet has to say about the pronunciation for them.
Because if there was ever somebody who I wish to correct my grammar, internet.
It
Would be-
should give a pronunciation guide.
Yeah, nope, I hear you. Just making a joke.
In some southern dialects of English, words like pen and pen are pronounced the same.
Pen.
Yeah. Usually both words are pronounced wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I needed that. Yeah, that was beautiful. In most cases, they're spoken as a complete illiterates. I'm not doing too good with my ciphering today.
Usually both words are pronounced as pen. This pattern of pronunciation is also found in other words. Although I and E can't speak. Sorry.
So it is saying if I'm getting
that is a thing. Yeah, that's a common.
but it's saying that in earnest, it's I don't think I use that word very often. Earnest. In earnest, these words should be potentially pronounced differently if you wish to remain true to their intent. Would you think that's accurate?
I didn't entirely hear everything you
Pen
said, but I
and
believe
pen. Am I supposed to be pronouncing these two different ways,
Hmm.
or is it okay for me to continue to be illiterate?
Well, there's also the thing that it's. So you can be a grammar Nazi and everything, or really strict on your grammar and everything. And I used to be, like, things used to really bother me, and they still do sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
But I have greatly reduced how much that bothers me by the realization that
How bad your own grammar is?
like what yeah, exactly. No, what language it is.
Right.
How it evolves.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
And like English is so crazy partly because it's only, it's really recently. Like how far could you, there's a good thing about time travel. Like how far back could you time travel and still be able to have a conversation with somebody that
Yeah, you
supposedly
had
spoke
that
the
in the
same
show
language
notes.
as you?
Yeah, that's a really fascinating conversation. Now,
Yeah.
really, yeah,
And it's only like a couple hundred years tops.
Yeah.
Typically.
yeah.
And it's like the English language, there's so many different other peoples and cultures and languages that all came and one conquered the other and they intermingled and they stole words from one another. And there's a big thing that happens frequently with like the English taking words from, and I'm sure it happens both ways
Sure.
probably, but the English taking words from French and just horribly
Well, just
mispronouncing.
cognates in general, right?
Yeah.
A cognate is a word that's pretty similar amongst languages.
Well,
And you see that a lot,
yeah,
right?
okay.
I mean, so there's German words, and it's like you know what they are. I think that's what a cognate is. It's a word that's pretty similar to your own.
hmm.
So like halt, in German is halt in English. I mean, you can say it's different context, but you know what I
Well,
mean.
you have to prove that they had different origins, otherwise it's the same.
Well,
word.
and is und in Mexican. We don't say
So,
Spanish. We say Mexican.
Did those like evolve separately as those forms, or did they have the same source? And one was just mispronounced, or it's just an accent, or,
Right.
And then you got regional dialects, and whatever.
We talked about because like I think the word Bedlam is short for Bethlehem, where there was a hospital that was called Bethlehem that was an insane asylum, and it was notorious for the activities that went on there. I think at a point they even made it almost like a museum where people could go and see. And I believe that word, the origin of Bedlam is Bethlehem.
Yeah, and I don't know how. I don't think I was ever on board with that. I can't remember.
Again, everything I say is probably inaccurate, so you
Sorry.
can fact find. But that is my understanding. Because a few years ago,
so I think there's been different ones that have been called that as well. So
There
I wanna
is
say
a
there was one that was in
there was a
Ohio
very
that was-
specific hospital called
Yeah.
Bethlehem
there
Insane Asylum.
is in England. It looks like so.
And it actually was important because I guess it had to do with a lot of mental health reform. It was important in the history of mental health reform because of the way that people were treated in this particular hospital. And like I said, I believe that they were even like kind of put on like a freak show.
Bedlam. So that probably had to do with like the Queen's English versus
Well,
like,
Cockney. Or,
yeah.
yeah.
So it looks like in 1247, the Priory of St. Mary's of Bethlehem was founded, devoted to healing sick paupers. The small establishment became known as Bethlehem Hospital. Londoners, who I believe Cockney is the
slang
no
or the vernacular or the dialect.
Yeah, Cockney is the London dialect, I believe, the original London dialect. So Londoners later abbreviated this term to Bethlem and often pronounced it Bedlam.
Yeah. Do I get points for that one? Can I say that one now and you actually will believe me?
Yeah.
Yay!
I suppose. Hold on. Yeah, all right.
Oh, he's like, ugh.
Why are they showing? Oh, this...
I know a lot of things that I say is inaccurate, but I thought that one was true, so I'm happy to find out that it was.
It looks like at some point they built a railway station over top of it.
Oh, really?
Looks like it. Huh.
Yeah,
There's a big article on it.
It was a normal psychology class, and they were talking about like the history of institutions and things like that, and they had brought that up, and I thought that was interesting, just to the point that you were making. Here's a word that somebody's saying differently, and we see this all the time, right? Where especially I think people would hear words in the wars, right, foreign words, and they bring them back and they mispronounce them and they become part of the dialect, right?
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty common occurrence. But then you don't have the word you don't have Bedlam without somebody mispronouncing that word to a point to where now it means something else.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying, the transient nature of language. That's why I wanted to add that and to prove to you I was right.
So I was talking about pen and then transient language. It'd be nice to like maintain it's so easy to like shoot off on all these tangents and then not be able to get back to what you're originally trying to say.
Yeah, that's what
I mean?
we need to get better about the show notes, maybe about that. But I guess that we can't do that. If we have you doing something and I'm doing something, it makes it hard. So
plus I'm just talking about like a conversationally, like having conversation and then taking that one of many lines of discussion within that conversation and then forgetting what you're talking about.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
though. Like with the show notes,
sense.
is if somebody's kind of like taking notes, so to speak, you can say, "Oh, this is you can write a placeholder, right?" And we realize this is where we branched, and this is where we. But
I'm not going to take notes for our conversations.
Yeah,
that's great. That would probably be a way to do it, but that's not going to be effective.
All right, computer, what time is it?
It is 8 till 2.
All right. Well, Randy, we got some more color on this. I'm curious to see what it'll look like when it dries.
Speaking of.
Okay. Good.
Is that the British version that you're using?
The British version of what?
The word you just said?
What word did I say? I don't know. I don't listen to myself.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the cube. Oh,
yeah,
is it color?
Yeah.
Is that I apparently say the word color very wrong. I've been told this many times in my life.
Say it like color.
I think I say it like pop your collar. And I think that collar, like popping a collar and collar, the collar purple, those are the same word to me.
Collar.
And I realize that they're not to, I guess, all the normies.
I had a friend from, I guess he grew up in St. Louis, and he pronounced milk as melk, like M-E-L, very strongly, M-E-L-K, milk. And I always mispronounce, well, usually anyway,
Nothing.
mispronounce orange, is orange. That's a pretty subtle one, really, but like orange and orange.
I, for the longest time, thought that breakfast was actually breakfast.
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 I like that better.
And actually, I find it funny because Jack Black says that.
Oh yeah.
He says something about, I think it's in the very end of that first album, where it's the Malibu Nights, Malibu Dreams part. But I think it's in that part, and he says breakfast. I was like, hey, I'm not the only freak. Right. So yeah, that is one of those words where, and that's just one of the things when you were talking about being grammar Nazis. I don't think it's good to be a grammar Nazi. There's a couple reasons for it. One, you're an asshole. Two, if we need to elaborate more, there's always somebody who's looking at you and thinking that you sound stupid. So be careful about how freely you wield your superiority over to somebody else. And I, like you, Randy, there's a place where I draw the line. Usually it's when people say ax instead of ask. I have a hard time with that one. But I say breakfast. So, who am I better than? Am I better than them axy people?
Yeah, so it's like, I'm trying not to have a problem with it, but it's like a spike in the ear.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're driving a spike into my ear canal. Like, please pronounce that word properly.
Yeah,
and some things, and it's like,
yeah.
oh.
And
oh
sometimes
goodness.
where you're just saying the wrong thing. What you're saying is actually incorrect. You're communicating the exact opposite of the thing you're trying to say, right?
Oh, so one example of where I was talking about French, like English taking a French word and just horribly mispronouncing it.
Uh-huh.
So when we play tennis,
love.
I mentioned this before. I know I have to you.
Yeah.
When we play tennis, we say love for 0, right? No.
Yeah.
Apparently that is from the French, and they say l'œuf, which is egg, which is like the symbol for 0, because a 0 looks like an egg. So l'œuf. And then the English took it and mispronounced it love. So that's why, for some reason, we say love for 0 in tennis. So it's one example of language oddities and how people say, oh, you're saying it wrong. But it's like, well, actually.
Yep. And this is like why we are word nerds. We consider ourselves word nerds is because we appreciate those things. There's one of my favorite albums, Randy, is Queen's Night at the Opera. Pretty certain that is in my top 10. And there's a song in there, and something about doing something on a Sunday afternoon. I can't remember what it, but he's like, he starts talking about these things, and he's like, Fridays I do this, on Thursdays I do this, and he says Sundays I go painting at the Louvre, right? And isn't that that's the famous art museum?
Yeah,
and that is in
Paris,
yeah. And that's the one that has the glass pyramid, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought, I used to listen to a lot of music that I'm very fond of. I used to listen to it in the car, right, on a cassette tape.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have an air conditioner in the car, so you had the windows down, right? So you misheard lyrics left and right. So I always thought he was saying that he was painting in the nude. So he goes, Sundays I go painting at the nude. And I always thought he says, Sundays I go painting in the nude. I mean, because it's Freddie Mercury, right? It makes as much sense. But yeah. So the misheard lyrics, that was what I was just thinking of. But anyways. Randy,
awesome.
It looks like we're starting to wind out our time period here, and I'm in between stuff, so I think we're going to consider this a good time to start to do our wind down. We want to thank everybody for time and attention that you gave to us. I've been saying recently, I really feel like attention is one of the few currencies that we have as people, so I appreciate you spending some of it with us. Want to remind people to please like, share, and subscribe. Like's clicking that thumbs up button. Sharing is where you tell somebody, passing on the word, and subscribing is when you hit the subscribe button. And when you do so, that will give you access to the bell icon. And if you click that, not only will Randy ring that bell, it also will allow you guys to be notified when we're posting stuff. So we just posted an edited video, so it'll give you a notification about that. And it also lets you know when we're streaming live. So it's really important if you want to catch the streams, especially live, to hit that button. Remind everybody that we've got the links down in the cubelage of the recommended gear, of our Patreon, of our social media sites, our quasi shop link. That's our web store, so check that out. If you haven't checked out our edited video, please do so. Randy, maybe you could do a quick paste on that again, if you can copy and paste that from earlier. And yeah, check that out. Really, really proud of that. And we will be back here on Thursday. I think that was the business end there, Randy. Did I miss anything that you think I should include?
I think we're good.
All right. Any parting words from you, my friend?
Hold on. I need to post this link here.
Okay.
Like,
And while you're doing that, we'll remind everybody our customary closing salutation is the doctor's promise, which is never cowardly, never cruel, never give up, never give in. So think about that, and I think those are fine words to live by. So, Randy, I'm coming over by you.
all right.
And you can share any parting words that you have.
Look, I got
Good peoples.
I got both the portrait and the landscape showing together. Take that.
Whoa.
Take that, program.
I win. But Randy, they can't see me. I don't care. They don't need to see you. You are the least important
right
piece
here.
here.
You just have to minimize your body space down into
Tetris.
Yeah. All right, everybody. I'll just say love yourselves and one another.
Yep. Be good people, and we talk with you soon.
Love you.
Yay!
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Wow.